Well, let's see. It must have been 1998 or 1999, I don't remember. I was 14, maybe. It was the time to proceed with my studies and make an important decision. I don't really remember now what were my options in those days, but I do remember that one day my dad had walked me all the way to the music school, a modern building that looked just like the military barracks. Once in, he started asking things to this short, well dressed, middle aged man with a mustache, who was the director of the school, I think. All the time my dad was talking to him, he would shake his head at him, saying no to my possible future as a musician. I didn't like him. Who are you to say no to a boy who wants something to be forever? But that is actually it, forever. I don't think I really wanted that with all my heart. I mean, being a musician forever. And how do you reach forever? With discipline, forever. And now, 20 years later, I think that that annoying, well dressed, mustached man actually had really saved my life. And next time I see him again in Italy, I'd like to tell him about that day and see what he thinks. In the meantime, I get to fuck around with instruments. I do really love old music, and mostly I get to interview who really made it and achieved what was luckily denied to me. Phew. I'm super happy that I think we saw each other sporadically. I think once we saw
Yes.
each other in a swimming pool in RTU in Kipsula, but we saw each other the very year, I guess, that I moved to Latvia because I came to one of your concerts. I think it was in Mieriela. I remember maybe 2018 or 2019. You were playing with a band over there.
Yes, yes. It seems, yeah, I believe that it
Something like
was
that.
that.
And I, like I'm interviewing people that are doing different things in Latvia. And the other day I thought, wait a second, I got a way to get to Mr. Nīmanis. I can actually take advantage of this and ask questions to the first composer that I interview. First of all, do you still remember that time in your life when you were in transition to what you became now, like before you decided to study music? Do you remember that time of your life, and do you remember how it happened?
Yes, in my life, all those decisions and what I'm become, I'm the kind of person that I'm not very targeted on goals. I'm letting myself to the stream. It's very bad, actually. But for me, it turns out I don't feel bad about myself. But it's not very good, can say, character quality.
Yeah.
But I usually do the things I like, but I don't make very big pressure on achieving some goals. And I was in my teenage. I was
Years.
studying in the schools. There was like chemistry and physics and biology, like this, and I like this kind of things, and I even attended university in chemistry, Latvian university in chemistry, bachelor's. And at the same time, I attended musical academy because I was playing clarinet all the time.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised when I become a teacher myself, that I just not actually I was really good pupil for the clarinet learning. I didn't spend so many time on doing it, like maybe 40 minutes a day. Sometimes I missed, sometimes I 1 hour played. But it turns out that all others pupils were really much worse than me. I didn't know that.
You were
And
gifted.
I don't feel that I'm gifted. I just have an interest and a patience in this,
Yeah.
and that's all. You don't need to be specific kind of mindset or whatever. You just have to be patient and interested. More interested than patient. Patient is also very good, but I'm not also very patient. I was really surprised that I'm achieving something in the fields that I'm not very deeply interested in. I just enjoying it. I was playing in
Mhm.
orchestra and I'm playing clarinet. Actually, I was attending in some pupils competitions, and I was some good results in it. But I wasn't like the best one or whatever. Sometimes I win, sometimes I was second, whatever. But but my teacher says you have talent. You have to try to get to the music academy, and I was okay. I don't know if I can get it. I'm not sure. But if I won't get that, they will take me to the army, and I have to go to the military service. And after there was the times when in 1999, when if you're not attending in some high school,
Go to the army.
university, then you have to go to the army.
There's
I
a
said,
good it's a good incentive to start studying, absolutely. But
yes.
do you remember what was the clarinet the first instrument you fell in love with?
I couldn't say that I fell in love in any of the instruments at all in my life. It is just appears. There was one instrument that I was like, everybody is playing guitar. There is something in it, and it is like very like it's like seems very easy to get to achieve something. I will buy in the second-hand store the most cheapest and shittiest Russian instrument and try to have fun. And it was true. It is really, you can really easy can achieve good results with just trying a little bit, and you can play songs. It is like that. Guitar, if you want to achieve something really quickly and to perform something, you can take guitar.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I just play around with instrument, but I don't consider myself nothing like a musician. But I have to say that guitar, you're totally right. Is they satisfaction is more immediate than other instrument. But also, personally, I find it one of the best instruments around. It was so cool. I mean, guitar is this got such a cool sound, right?
Yes, it's culture. If we are built in this culture,
You're right. It's like giving it back inside the culture of rock and guitars and everything that came out of it. That the fact of us playing the guitar as an immediate. So okay, you told me that you were kind of naturally inclined or characterially inclined to start doing things for passion and without worrying too much about the objective and things like that. You would do it deliberately. You would start playing, study music and playing the clarinet in a way that is almost like natural. But at some point, the discipline, I was thinking about this before the interview. I was thinking I need to ask Jēkabs about the discipline aspect of becoming a musician, because ones that I know in Italy and probably some in Latvia, I know that they do some practice almost daily. There is an aspect of discipline which I've never lived in my life with anything. So how did you deal with that afterwards? What was it difficult at times?
It's a very important question you're asking, and I'm like a teacher all the time, and I have this issue, and I was all the time I was looking to those pupils, and I thinking they are very good and talented, maybe more than me even, but they are not disciplined and they don't have a patience, and the main thing, they don't have an interest in what they are doing. If you have an interest, you can have a discipline and a patience. You can work on it. You can mentally, let's say, work with you and train you to this thing. If you give the music, should be meaningful thing for you. It is not like for the fucking entertainment.
Yeah.
Because music is not entertainment thing. It is used as an entertainment, but the main meaning of the music is not entertaining. This is much wider field.
Yeah.
And if you have this feeling that this is much more than entertainment and have a good time, you can say that this is one of the most important things ever. And when you're learning something and doing something and you have these feelings, this is very important. It is not any problems with the patience and the discipline. You just feel that this is very important and you just do it. But I'm not very good at these points, discipline and patience. I'm surprised sometimes how I can play something.
When you try to describe music, not exclusively as entertainment, all of a sudden I started thinking about Jesus. It feels like a natural need or something. Like it feels like we are programmed to enjoy music in a way that every time that we try to describe what it might be, Maybe it could be entertainment now, it could be anything else. Every time that we try to put it in a box, it feels like there was somebody talking on a podcast the other day regarding how naturally inclined we are to appreciate the traditional structure of a song, like refrain, going back, and all those things from a primitive days. So we are somehow, there's an ingredient of pleasure which is very natural. Is almost ingrained in our body, I would say.
Yes.
In your days when you were studying, it was maybe there was more interest, or generalizing, of course. Do you think that there
Generalizing,
is
yeah.
something like that?
Now we have in our times we have opportunities and a lot of access to the information, and this access to the information, it leads to that we are not trying to go deep into subjects. We are trying to use them as much as we have this feelings that it's like intense and interesting, and when it becomes a little less intense and interesting, we quickly switch, and this switching, it's like we can't learn something, and we can't go deep to the some some deeper meanings.
Yes.
And music basically is on the surface level, it is kind of entertainment and the passing time and having a good time. It is on the surface level. As the surface level, the conversation with people is also the same. We are just having a good time to talking with each other. There is not deeper meaning with it. But if we can talk with a very meaningful for us things, we can solve our problems. We can find some solutions to some situations, and the main thing, we can find the meaning of our existence. I can even go to this side.
The other day there was this podcaster, I don't know, the scientist actually, quite famous, called Neil deGrasse Tyson, or
Yeah, I know. I watch
and
his
yeah,
videos sometimes as well. I know him.
and you reminded me him in the masterclass trailer. He said we get informed enough to show that we're right about something, but we don't get informed enough to prove that we are wrong about it.
Yeah. I remember this
So
quote.
I paraphrased it in a way that is not exactly the same
Yeah,
way,
I
but
remember this. Yeah.
you remember that was quite on point, because in the era information we got so much stuff. We can put a conversation together, and it can be enjoyable at different levels, but somehow maybe sometimes we get too much on the surface and we don't get into the deep nature of things. But I think that definitely is better than the old days for some aspect.
Don't have this regret of that world is
Yeah.
changing to the world, the things, and every time have their opportunities and good things, and I don't regret the old times as well, because it made me as I am, and as a person as I am, with good and bad things, but we all have this in any time.
Of course. I really enjoyed the duet with Andris Keish, and I was listening to Teja, for example, which is a beautiful piece, which I hope I'm going to put at the end of the podcast, if you allow me. That would be nice.
It is very old news.
Oh,
like
no.
2006. You can imagine 2006.
Well, you see how good I am with research. But hey, I like it. I really like it. And it kind of brought me, the video a bit, brought me into some sort of Latvian classic movie situation, like like Chetri Baltic Crackly a bit, the atmosphere, because there were people playing. This is a movie from, help me with that, was a 1967 movie that it was a bit, for the time, a bit controversial in those days, and it was censored. And it came out, and in the movie you could see some artists trying to play around, and some beautiful music, and you will see, like in the video with Jēkabs and Andris, you could see them playing an acoustic song, which is very nice, and people around are playing around or whatever. So it kind of brought me back to that kind of atmosphere, and also the melody somehow made me think about some old school Latvian ballad a bit. No?
Yes. It's very long, and this story has been in some interviews a lot with me, but the main thing, this is the task of writing these songs was the birth of my very strange career as a singer and songwriter, because before that, I didn't see myself as a singer. I thought everybody else in the world sings better than me, and I shouldn't do this. And I don't have like any ambitions that I'm a good songwriter. I didn't. I just director asked me to write some country style songs, but it was boring to write every song in the same style. So I started to improvise and wrote like 18 songs, and each most kindly or variation or different genre, and this becomes like some story about this love stuff.
2006. I thought it was more recent. Jesus.
Now, in 2009, I recorded this album because I'm very slow at putting out recordings, and just this week, not this week, but I think last week or some weeks ago, I put this album in the Spotify and other services. It was only on the Bandcamp all the time, and I had also physical copies in CDs.
Yes.
And it was sold out many times. It was very good success commercial as well, actually, because I get back my money that I invested in this because it was my personal investment. I don't have
I would buy.
support. Yeah, and I had back my investments and no, not big money, but a little bit. It's not very often if you can make money with selling CDs. It's very strange, not in these times.
Is there something that during your growth as a musician and a composer, something that you heard originally a long time ago that has stayed in your choice of instruments when you have to compose something?
It's not about so much choice of instruments. No, it is some instruments are very obvious, but because especially in theater music, because usually very often I should record and play by myself. I try to avoid this situation just to be more like adventurous in some tasks. But sometimes it's because of the budget and because of lack of the time. You have to work very fast and very effectively, and therefore I'm trying to learn and to also buy some instruments. And one of the instruments I'm holding in my hand.
Oh, was it a mandolin?
Yes. This is a tribute to the Italians.
Oh, right.
And this instrument also was like very, very obvious continuing of the playing guitar, because the mandolin is not so hard to learn if you are a guitar player. It's different tuning. Actually, if you are violin players, that is much easier also because it's the same fingering actually. But it was really nice.
Oh, it's beautiful. You bringing me back home with this. I feel like, shall we, Jēkabs, me and you, shall we go to under the balcony of a lady and do a serenade together?
Of course.
And let's not tell our partners that we're doing that. Let's just
of course. No problem.
But you know what? You reminded me of how beautiful mandolin is, and how do you have an instrument that you don't like as a sound? Like, for example, I don't have a good relationship with ukulele.
I don't have specific relationships with the ukulele, but I think I even use it in also one session. I learned it by night. I have to write for one play, but I think I'm not used to this pan flute thing. Because usually when I heard this guy who is playing on the streets, I don't know, there's some conflict in me. It is some, I don't, it shouldn't be some conflict in me, but it sounds like cheesy.
When you walk in bus stations, there is usually a guy over there with the flute, and
I like everything except the sound of it. How he looks, the idea what he's doing, and this traveling musician, and he's bringing this cultural, very specific culture. But then I hear the sound, it's like no. It is not like I can't stand it. It is just, it's not my.
I get what you're saying, because, for example, when I was telling you about the ukulele, my aversion to it has to do when he's on his own. For example, like with the flute, like we're talking about the flute, we're talking about the most traditional flute, the pan flute, probably, that We had to use it, by the way, in our video school, in high school. We have to learn how to do it, which was, but probably if you just hear that instrument, it's almost naked, and you, oh, I don't like this one. I don't like this sound. I don't like the sound, the color of the sound. I don't like that. I don't like the color of the sound of a ukulele. But maybe there is a way to masquerade it in an ensemble, and right, you would probably be able to put it somewhere with other instrument and probably like it. Yeah.
It's not so radical that I can't stand it, you know. It's not mine field. I don't feel it good. But I believe if I had this flute in home, I would find maybe some way I enjoy it. Actually, I like the individual sounds, like it's very nice.
That one is a so when you put notes together, it's not good.
But
I get
the
it.
style of the playing and this popsy and the same time folky. It's for me. It feels so cheap.
I feel like that when I hear a popsy or like cheesy violin. That's what happens to me. Going back to the clarinet, I think that when I listen to a clarinet, I can easily associate it to Riga, the way the Riga looks, and I can associate it to cats and Riga and hats and things and whatever. Like it brings me a clarinet. It is a bit of a sound of a city like Riga, right? A bit.
I never thought in this way, actually. Which instrument is the sound of the Riga? I don't know. Maybe the wind orchestra, because I was talking. It is very personal. It's not like specific objective, but I was playing in wind orchestra, and we have this song festivals a lot and different kind of. But the wind orchestra, this culture of playing wind orchestra also. It is like kind of educational thing as well, and if it's in public spaces, it's for me it's like that feeling that teenagers is playing some wind music, and when I was organizing also me at ELS festivals 5 years ago in 2010 approximately that times. I was always inviting wind orchestra, and they were opening this, and they were marching on the street and playing performance before all these very cool underground and upground bands, which are play with a little money, and they were like opening this festival. And for me, it is like sound of the city that is like, yes, this is a real event. They are playing.
I think this is what happens when someone that is approaching like I live in Riga, and approaching the thing of the association of a city to music from a surface level. And when you talk to a composer or someone that is into music, it becomes more nuanced clearly. But for example, I have this caricatured idea when I'm Bagata Kunze soundtrack when I'm in, like, because of the buildings and that kind of stuff.
Zarinch, we also play this music in my band, actually.
Yes. Beautiful, right? There is a clarinet in there, or no? Yes.
There is saxophone actually as well.
Saxophone.
But I don't remember about so much information. Maybe there is a clarinet. I don't know. But it sounds great on the clarinet.
By the way, if you want to go and see it, we're talking about Bagata Kunze, I don't know, a classic from, what is it, 1960s, maybe, I don't know.
60s, something like about that. 60s.
Mr. Pavels is in there, and some, but what if I push a bit and I ask you, is there a sound, a melody or something, a style of music or the color of an instrument in terms of sound that you could associate to Riga? Because it is the city where you grew up. You were born here, I understand.
I mean, the third generation.
Yeah, he's a real Ritvenieks. We're talking about 3 generations of Nīmaņi, maybe. Mm-hmm. And so is there really, if you have to really try, Jēkabs, is there an instrument or something, or even a bunch of instruments together, or a type of music that you could associate to your city?
It is very personal thing, and it is very subjective, because those experiences that you have when you're just walking around and listening to the concerts are really different from the experiences of the persons that are grown in the city. I was playing a lot in the wind orchestra, so a lot that I had enough of it. I won't play anymore in this. Maybe it's all over this phase in my life. But I really enjoy if I see them doing that, and and there is some musical pieces that I really enjoy. One of them is Gunārs Ordelovskis. Gunārs Ordelovskis Svētku mūzika. I will send you this file. I have a recording of national military orchestra, but I really like this march. Gunārs Ordelovskis is like one of the most famous developer of orchestral music and composer. He was also conductor of the orchestra Riga, which is in the Riga. It's called Riga. It's also now it's also this orchestra, and I'm actually writing now for this orchestra arrangements for arrangements with very interesting festival. I want to tell you about it. It will
please.
Yes, it will be on 6th of August. It's Valmiera Theatre Festival, but there will be some bonus festival in it. It's like kind of performance. There will be kind of singing festival with a very big choir. I hope 1,000 people, and this orchestra, and they will perform the underground music from the 90s that are transcribed and composers like me and other will write. This is kind of tribute to the generation and to the music, which is like not very like in the surface, but it's very big impact on the culture. And there are like balvoži pilni pagalmi, inokentīs mārples. And also I was participating in this stage. There was punk and some indie music and stuff, but this is like not in the radio stations music, but there's some community and subculture of it. And it is like especially powerful in the 90s and after, like for first 10 years after 2000s. And I want to tribute, I had this idea a long time that put in this singing festival format, this like underground style music with guitars and singing. And the choir will sing this choir, sometimes a cappella parts, and the orchestra will perform this band stuff. There will be some pieces which are only instrumental for orchestra, and some which is like together with everybody. And this is like kind of social experiment. How this music works? Is it good enough to be converted in this very like traditional format and for the masses format? Yes, and the radio will record it and translate and will be
Air it. Yeah.
air it. Yes. So it will be quite big event, and I'm kind of artistic director of this idea author. yeah. And this orchestra is also there. This orchestra Riga is there, and I want to bring this spirit and connect these two worlds, which are very subjectively important for me.
Yeah.
And it is not also about Riga, it's about Latvian culture in big lines, and connect this very young and free culture of expressing whatever this generation wants. When you have like 19, 20 years old, you can do whatever you want. You don't care what everybody thinks about you. You can sing like very nasty words and don't care. And this feeling we want to bring on the big stage with this feeling is that you are free to do what you want, and it's about freedom, about freedom of speech as well, and freedom of art.
I get it. There is some sort of like you have lived in both in different decades in this sense. So you have that kind of clear memory of the late 90s, early 2000s, when there was this atmosphere that you described, and now you've seen the younger generation and how they're different, because they're clearly different.
It should be like that.
There is more awareness now what's the right thing to say or the wrong thing to say. The society is a bit more sensitive than the one where I come from. Okay, the generation that I come from, which probably closer to yours in that sense. So now you're going to be in charge of this project, and you're going to be trying to make sure that there is a revival of a past style of communication from Latvian culture that has to be translated in a format that it can be heard nowadays. It's a great,
Yes.
it's a great mission. It can be tough.
Tough, but for now, when I'm speaking with a choir director, conductors, and with orchestra and the people, they are really enthusiastic about this idea and they believe in it. I just hope that audience will also be enthusiastic and will come and to see it.
Talking about Latvia more, talking about Latvian composers. So we're different generation of composers. You know, some of great ones. You're one of them, and is there a common trait between Latvian composers? Like, you choose whichever that is.
Big question, but it's not very tough for me.
Good.
Is there is difference between generations? There is. I couldn't say that there is some general sound or general you can very quickly recognize. You know, very quickly recognize you can music which is Latvian, like from the birth of identity till the 50s. But after 50s and 60s, there are so many influences and also from pop culture and maybe some experiments that it becomes like more and more individually linked. But there is one main thing, especially because we was behind the Iron Curtain, and this identity was very, very important not to lose it in this Russian invasion. 50 years Russian invasion.
We are not too shy with those terminology.
Yes.
Of course, absolutely.
And it was very important to keep this identity. This identity is also in some folk and this like all this music that was composed before the 50s and 60s, and those composers, especially like in 70s, Pēteris Plaki, this is one of my favorite composers. He is like modern, contemporary, and at the same time a very good humor and humor feeling, and technically very, very skillful as well. He was really good teacher. I had some lectures with him as well, and some deal. And he was actually classmate with my mom. He was learning in the same school. It's very strange, but at the same time, when he was listening to my music, he didn't completely understand it, and he's not like my soulmate from the previous generation, and I have very, very specific event. It's this long story, but when I really I'm really big fan of him, also of a lot of Latvian composers, but we are different generations, and how much I love them, they don't love me.
Yes,
because we are so different, they don't understand why I'm doing this. What is the point of that? And my ways of writing. But there is some other generation which understands me, and this contradiction was very obvious in the first exam when I was studying in music academy. I had the music I wrote, and some wanted to give me very high score, and some wanted to give me the lowest possible. And they have very big discussions about is it good or is it bad, in very, very black and white way, because we completely didn't understand my way of writing and my ideas. Going back to the main question, I'm a very big talker. So sorry.
No, go ahead.
Because we share experience about this 80s and 90s. We share experience and we share our values, and I can hear them actually. I can hear our not only good things, but also complexes like. And what we are afraid of, and our like yes, or everything that we are together, our traumas and our trying to be open but can't be open. We are actually quite introvert, but we try to be extrovert, and these kind of things in subconsciously I can feel in this music, and I think it's beautiful. And I think that is what makes identity, with all your bad and good things, and what makes you and nation, what the nation is. And this is so nice that we have some problems that kind of solved, but at the same time, during this solving those problems, you have some kind of trauma or some kind of fear about something, and we should talk about this in some conscious way. And this is, I think, in cultural ways that are not only musical, but other artists are connecting.
Poetry too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I remember I was trying to read some translated in English or in Italian also, some famous Latvian poet called Rokpelnis, I guess,
Yeah,
and
I know him. Yeah.
which and there was this book where it was him and an Italian poet translating each other.
Oh.
The Italian poet was from I don't remember, Gilberto Isella, I think. And the Italian poet was from the area in the border between Switzerland and Italy, which is quite dear to Latvians that were exiled, like Aspasia. And the thing, what am I getting at? The thing that you were saying that is in music about the identity and the complex of the Latvian nation, call it like that. Sometimes you can see in the poetry that, for example, the type of poetry coming from the Italian poet is not very shy in describing big landscapes and eagles and things, and there is very little shyness in trying to describe the scenario with poetry. The Latvian poet that Rokpelnis, has got an extreme use of the metaphor that the poetry becomes accessible only to few people.
Yeah.
It's for example, somebody that is probably not having the same feelings that we have in between the Latvian poet and maybe the Latvian audience, they wouldn't be able to grasp the crazy metaphor that is in there, like the violin, the fish. There's a crazy poem over there. Maybe music is similar in that way. There is this substratus of communication that you're saying because of shyness or the fact that some history generates trauma. So there is a communication between music and the audience, between the artist and the audience, which is kind of, maybe hiding is not the right word. Hiding is just communicating in a different level. And in poetry, you can see that. In poetry, you can see that there is a use of images and everything that speaks, the candle and the window maybe being slightly open.
I think this is the same issue about having the experience of trauma, and we have this traumatic experience of occupation, especially in the poetry, because poets are really sensitive to the bad things, and they are really. It's not only for the poets, for every creative people actually. It continues in generations as well. But the main things that we have to deal with we are not interested in the world with our traumatic experiences. We are interested how we are dealing with it. And I don't like this so much. Those poets and those artists that are talking about suffering and talking about this. You have to be in the balance. Yeah, but I really like, and I wrote for me a very important piece that this is for the organ in Doma Erdeles, the biggest organ, our very important instrument. It is the main instrument of the Riga, you can say. I wrote for the Doma Erdeles and Choir Latvia. It's like more patriotic can't be. Choir Latvia and Doma Erdeles. I wrote a piece which is about. The poetry was from the Knut Skujnieks. He wrote where he was sent from the Russians to the Lēģeri, camp, concentration camp.
To the Gulag, yeah.
Gulag, yes. And all this poetry is about the hope and about the humanities. They're very powerful metaphors about the horror of everything, but he put in his poetry these levels of this awful situation, and at the same time of the humanity's hope. It's so concentrated and so powerful. I was so excited. It was so easy to write with his poetry because it's a very important theme in Latvian culture. At the same time, it is not like, oh, we are suffering, we are like we don't have so good luck as others. No, it's not about that. It is about how you deal with the problems and how you can stay human in these very awful situations.
By the way, what a beautiful reference. Another amazing poet that I don't have the chance to understand in fully Latvian, but I think Knut Skujenieks, which I think the book was Seed in Snow. I remember in English. That was amazing. And I really recommend it. And you're right. There is taking some tragic experience like the prison time in the Gulag and is making it into something that is totally sublimated in that way.
Artistically, I quite involved into the Holocaust things of remembering those and talking about that, because I'm author of the installation in the Lipkes Memorials, Žani Lipkes Memorials in Ķīpsela, and there are a lot of events happening, and there are also theater plays, and we did some years ago with a Russian director and dramaturg, beautiful play, Persian language lessons, and I like. I also when we was discussing with the director, this is not about that we are showing how awful was times. It is about showing how we survive it and what can we learn from it. And also the same as this idea of the Museum of Holocaust. No, it's not Museum of Holocaust. It's about Museum of the hope of the man who actually very successfully saved Jewish people. And he actually lived to the very old age and died in Soviet times, and it is success story. It is, but at the same time, there's this background of everything, and this is very important thing also on these Holocaust themes, that you don't show only the horror, but you show how people can deal with it and what can we do in these horrible choices. This is the same situation in Russia now. Of course,
yes.
As you understand, yes.
I do.
You have to do a lot of choices, very difficult choices. And I just yesterday I had a call from my friend. She's Georgian, who was born in Moscow. He's an actor. He's singer. He is singing in the show that we made together on January in Hamburg. It is like Russian director Kirill Serebrennikov, and there was a lot of music, and we need professional musicians. And there was some musicians from Russia and actors, and some from Germany. And we will also perform this in Avignon Festival, hopefully this year, in the bigger scale. But the main thing was yesterday he called me in Telegram, and I just had these recent news. One actor from United States, Odin, Odin, who was very famous in Moscow, he also was shooting in some serials. He moved to the Berlin to live and away from the Russia.
Wonder why?
Yeah, and my just native Moscow citizen who's from Georgian, from relatives. He's also he's trying to find a work in Hamburg, because the theater gave him this that he can stay in Germany because of the work. This
visa
approval. This is some kind of approval from the Russian citizens. And I was really surprised how quickly happening this.
That's great.
And also I can report you about the news. It will be
absolutely
definitely something. And I was just calling with the theater people in Moscow. How are they? And yes, they don't feel it right now, but they see that everything is closing and people are going away. And they have to make a really, really difficult choices, because if the director that says there is war and we are against it and we are standing in our position and fight, yes, it is not so simple. If you remember by the history lessons how it was in the Russia in 30s and 40s, you can't go to the protest, to the dictatorship rulement. It's not possible.
No. There's
It's
a
not
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
not working like that.
No.
And if you are leading some theater of some organization, you are responsible for all your employees. If you
Yes.
do some announcements and do something, you affect a lot of people's lives and choices, and you should take responsibility about everything. And a lot of those theater directors, they just go away from the work. Like, yes, I just can't work because you ask me neither to be silent or agree with your opinions, and neither of those choices are not for me, and they just go away. But if they go away, there's no guarantee that you can find any work. And in those
No, and
situations where it's really hard about how you can pay for whatever you have, it's really crazy stuff in
it's
this.
unbelievably crazy.
Yes,
It's
yes, it's
something
really
that
hard choices.
there are like in other societies, these things are masqueraded around. Sometimes they happen individually, but they don't happen to the scale of it.
Yeah.
Of the It's crazy, and we can't ignore what's going on at the moment. And has it ever happened that you lost a bit of creativity in some project, or even for a while, like 1 year, you felt I can't do this, like a crisis or something with a creative crisis?
Now there is some how to say, not crisis, but some situations in your life that is like going down. It's not connected with your creative development. It is like very personal stuff, and of those going down and up things, it is like it is obvious. Everybody has this in their lives, and this is normal development of personality and of the things. I couldn't say that I have some crisis that I can't work. It was really hard to write music in the first week when the war started. After 24th of February, it was really hard. I stopped. I couldn't find like the power of creativity in me. My thoughts were so far away about existential questions, about worries about the people, Ukrainians and Russians I know, and I was really worried about everything, and about my relatives and people around me. They were really scared, and my wife came and was crying, and it was like it's just like really strong things. And in
Really
these kind of
overwhelming.
situations, I have crisis. Yes, but it is like
Yeah,
it is not connected with like I don't have things to
yeah,
say.
yeah.
It is about obvious things. But
It
but
makes
I
sense.
think I didn't have yet yet. I didn't have yet such crisis that I don't have ideas what to write and what to do. I have all the time overwhelming of the ideas. I don't have a time for it.
After you are past those crises, like it could be some personal bad news or trauma, or something that happens in our life, to what happens in Ukraine, all these things. Have you ever worked with them afterwards and turned them into and
Mhm.
use that kind of negative
It is very good
feeling?
question. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for very good question. You are very good interviewer. So super, because this is very important things that there are discussions between creative people. Do you have to express your experience in the music, or do you don't express your experience, but you some kind have from the distance, and this is very important subject of how the information about what you are putting in your work and the message actually. For me, it's not very interesting to write about my feelings because they are present anyway. You can't ignore your feelings. You can't ignore that you are alive and you are feeling something. More interesting for the audience is to be like a journalist, you like comment something from the point of view, but you try to stay objective. If you go in subjective part, how I'm suffering because things not happening as I want, it is not very interesting to listen. You can write. It's interesting in the Dmitry Shostakovich music. He is writing instrumental music about very specific, actually, state of situation and of state of his situation and of nation of every person, maybe very personal, and there is very concrete messages in it, but you can listen this music ignoring everything that he is put in it personally, and you can listen in a new in your subjective way, and it is very really good. That if you can find in abstract musical language something personal which composer maybe don't know about it, but the feeling, it's more important that the passion and the creative idea that he put there, it is like impulse. It is just an impulse. It is not concrete information. It is impulse that works with you, and you are creative. When you are listening, you are making this up. And this, if genius works and genius composers and artists write those kind of works, that each other person that are like really involved and really passionate about the message, they have their own messages, each all of them. And good music all gives these impulses very strongly, and this is like constructed or organized stuff, but at the same time it's very abstract and very strange, and this is mystery, and this is the part of that we are appreciating in the art, that art is a mystery, and we don't understand how it works, but it works. For the composer, the most beautiful thing is to speak about his music and to speak about the ideas. I was interviewing a lot of composers. I have also my broadcast in Radio Naba some years, and also write magister work interviewing composers. And I really enjoy these meetings with my colleagues because they are really passionate about what they are doing, and someone is asking specific questions. But usually, people don't ask those questions in when they met on the streets and sitting in the bars. I don't know why.
I don't know. I definitely would. I don't care. But we never get the chance to. We never had the chance to actually.
Let's make this chance happen.
Let's make it happen. Absolutely.
You were talking about this sound of Riga. I want to send you my sound of Riga. This is a piece from Gunārs Ordelovskis, conductor and composer for a lot of wind orchestra music, and not only. It is like piece from the 70s, I believe, or around that. And this is quite difficult piece for the orchestra to perform. So you have to be in quite good shape to perform this piece. So it's not very popular in amateur orchestras. But when I was playing this, I was feeling this connection with Latvian wind orchestra culture. And this is like the Everest. For me, it's like the Everest of this genre, because it's so true and so positive. And there is so many things that I believe we should embrace in our culture.
This is for anybody that loves this city, Riga, and so Gunārs Ordelovskis, recommended by no less than Jēkabs Nīmanis. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.